There's tension in the air in Cleveland, and for once, it's not because the Browns are losing games. It's because they've somehow managed to ignite the most chaotic, high-stakes quarterback controversy of the year. And it's only the preseason. Welcome to the showdown no one saw coming, Dillon Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders. And it's not just fans arguing in comment sections anymore. Now we got Colin Cowherd and Stephen A. Smith duking it out on national television, throwing verbal grenades over who deserves the QB1 spot. Let's just say it's getting spicy. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. On one side, you've got Colin Cowherd, who surprised literally everyone by flipping the script and demanding that Shedeur Sanders be named the starter immediately. On the other side, a rapidly unraveling narrative around Dillon Gabriel, the safe choice, who just made a whole lot of people question whether playing it safe is actually the dumbest idea on the table. Let's rewind. Dillon Gabriel makes his preseason debut. There's buzz. There's build-up. There's that smirk in the press conference where he takes a thinly veiled jab at Shedeur. You know the one, the quote that basically boiled down to, he's a brand, I'm a baller. Cool story, bro. Because the second the game started, reality hit. Hard. Gabriel's performance wasn't terrible. Let's be fair. It was, okay, a couple of solid completions, a nice rollout, and then, boom, an interception that looked like it was thrown by someone trying to make a friend in the secondary. And while Gabriel was settling for checkdowns, guess who was standing tall on the sideline, helmet off, poised, collected, and, dare we say, radiating main character energy? Yeah, Shedeur Sanders. And you better believe the cameras knew exactly where to find him. So did Colin Cowherd. The next morning, Cowherd unleashed. I've seen enough. Shedeur should be starting. Period. Not maybe. Not let's give him time. Period. He went in on every point, from Gabriel's size to his game management style, to the Browns' decision to prioritize stability over electricity. He even questioned whether Gabriel can physically survive a season behind the Browns' patchwork O-line, saying, "This isn't high school. If you're under 6 feet and you don't have elite mobility or a rocket arm, what are we even doing here?" Yikes. But Cowherd didn't stop there. He pivoted right into Shedeur's corner, calling him the most underrated quarterback in the NFL right now. According to him, Shedeur didn't just outperform Gabriel in practice and preseason. He outclassed him. He's accurate. He's mobile. He's been playing under pressure his entire life. The media doesn't rattle him. The lights don't rattle him. You think a road game in Cincinnati is going to scare this guy? Come on. And honestly, he's not wrong. Because what Shedeur brings to the table isn't just stats. It's composure. It's leadership. It's the fact that every single time he touches the ball, fans lean forward just a little bit more. Even Browns GM Andrew Berry, who has been tight-lipped about the quarterback situation, was forced to break the usual PR wall and praise Shedeur's poise and performance. So now we've got internal whispers, public praise, national sports media demanding a change. And then Stephen A. Smith jumped in, and folks, he did not come to play. Smith called Gabriel's earlier comments about Shedeur idiotic, pointing out that trashing your own teammate in public is a red flag, not a leadership trait. You want to start quarterback? Start by shutting up and playing the game. Because Shedeur Sanders didn't say a word, and he's already got the locker room. And there it is. Because that's what separates Shedeur from Gabriel in this moment. Gabriel had a platform, and he used it to start drama. Shedeur had performance, and he let that do the talking. Gabriel may be the safer option on paper, but this isn't Madden. It's 2025. Fans don't just want safe. They want excitement, swagger, control, a quarterback who can take over a 2-minute drill, and a press conference without blinking. And Shedeur? He's been doing that since high school. You'd think, at this point, the decision would be easy. And yet, the Browns are still playing the wait-and-see game. They're acting like this is a close competition, like it's still up for grabs. Like, let's evaluate more in camp, is a good enough excuse to bench the most electrifying player they've had in years. Colin Cowherd sees it. Stephen A. sees it. Half the league sees it. Even fans in opposing markets are tweeting about Shedeur like he's their QB1. So what gives? Politics. Plain and simple. The Browns are caught in the same trap they've always been caught in, choosing familiarity over fearlessness. Dillon Gabriel feels like the easy choice. No scandals, no brand machine behind him, no viral interviews or Cartier watches. But none of that wins games. And when your safe choice throws ducks while the guy you bench is trending on every platform just for breathing, you've got a problem. The media knows it. The locker room knows it. The league knows it. And the Browns? They're running out of excuses. Because if Shedeur keeps doing what he's doing, staying locked in, showing up to practice, being that dude in the film room, and outplaying everyone in his orbit, the pressure becomes unbearable. The quarterback controversy becomes a full-on embarrassment. And here's the part they're not ready for. If the Browns don't start him, if they drag this out, hoping it all just magically resolves itself, they risk losing him. They risk losing the fans. The momentum, the brand appeal, the entire story that Shedeur brings with him. And in a league where storylines are currency and ratings are the real scoreboard, you don't bench a storyline like Shedeur Sanders. You put him under center and you let him cook. So where does this go from here? All eyes are on the Browns' next move. Will they double down on their steady hand? Or will they do what Cowherd, Smith, and now a growing chunk of the football world are begging them to do? Start the future. Start the energy. Start the guy who looks like a franchise quarterback, moves like a franchise quarterback, and commands a spotlight like he was born for it. Start Shedeur Sanders. Because this isn't just about who throws a tighter spiral. It's about who you build around, who you rally behind, who you trust with the keys to the city. And right now, there's only one answer. So what do you think? Should Shedeur start week 1? Has Gabriel already blown his shot? Or is the media jumping the gun? Sound off in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for weekly breakdowns of the chaos, the controversy, and the quarterbacks who won't be silenced. Because this season, it's personal. Let's just go ahead and say it. The NFL isn't ready for what Shedeur Sanders brings to the table. And maybe the Browns knew that the second he walked in the building. Not because he was unprepared. Not because he was unpolished. But because he walked in like he already knew who he was. And more importantly, who he wasn't going to become. He wasn't going to be the quiet rookie quarterback, sitting in the back of the room with his helmet under one arm and his head down. He wasn't going to act grateful just to be here. He wasn't going to defer to guys who hadn't proven themselves just because their names were printed higher on the depth chart. And that's exactly why he's winning this debate. Even without starting a regular season game, this entire quarterback controversy has become less about skill set and way more about identity. Who fits the mold? Who can we control? Who can we market without having to answer for? Dillon Gabriel fits the mold. He's humble, quiet, uncontroversial. Not exactly electric, but he's solid. He doesn't challenge the status quo, and he's safe from a media standpoint. He won't give you headlines, but he won't rock the boat either. The problem? Nobody cares about safe anymore. You know what safe gets you? A 9-8 season and a wild card exit. You know what fire gets you? It gets you sold-out stadiums, primetime games, ESPN specials, and most importantly, it gets you wins when it matters. Because say what you want about Shedeur, he's built for high-pressure football. This isn't someone who's going to crack on 3rd and goal in the 4th quarter of a divisional game. This is someone who's been under a microscope since his teenage years, played with cameras in his face, a Hall of Famer for a dad, and the expectation of greatness hanging over every snap. And yet, he's calm. Calm in pressers. Calm in interviews. Calm in the pocket. The moment never seems too big for Shedeur. And if you're an NFL coach, that's not just a nice to have. That's everything. Let's look at this through the lens of what every head coach wants from their QB1. Leadership, white heavy check mark. Media control, white heavy check mark. Ability to bounce back after mistakes, white heavy check mark. Field awareness, white heavy check mark. Competitive fire, oh, that's a double check. Now compare that to Dillon Gabriel's rollout into the league. He came in with a quiet buzz, delivered a decent debut, and then promptly stepped on a landmine by taking shots at Shedeur publicly. And that's the problem. That moment revealed something bigger than football. It showed us that Gabriel either doesn't understand the gravity of the position he's stepping into, or worse, he does, and he thought the best way to seize power was by tearing someone else down. In a league that eats quarterbacks alive for even the tiniest missteps, that's a horrible look. And that's why Stephen A. was practically foaming at the mouth when he went in on Gabriel. Because what Gabriel did wasn't just immature, it was telling. It told us that even he knew who the real threat was. You don't take shots at your backup unless you're insecure about your own performance. You don't bring up Shedeur if you're confident in your game. You just play. But Gabriel didn't just bring him up. He tried to bury him. And now, it's backfired so hard. It's practically a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, Shedeur hasn't said a single word publicly in response. Not a post. Not a quote. Not a dig. Just reps. Just preparation. Just class. He's playing the long game, and it's starting to pay off. Because here's what people are beginning to realize, both inside and outside the Browns facility. You can't keep charisma off the field forever. You can bench it. You can delay it. You can hide behind veteran politics and coaching excuses. But at some point, when the game is on the line, and you need someone who can actually lead, you're going to need the guy who can deliver under pressure. And that guy, it's not the one throwing safe passes and hoping people stop asking questions. It's the one you're afraid to start, because you know once he's in, you can't bench him again. Let's say it like it is. If Shedeur gets one real shot, that job is his. Full stop. And that might be the real reason why they're dragging this out. Because once you put him in, you can't go back. There's no, we're easing him in. There's no, he's just not ready. There's no, he needs more time to learn the playbook. The moment he steps on the field and takes command, the leash is gone. The hierarchy shifts. The excuses expire. And that makes people very uncomfortable. Because Shedeur is not just another talented QB. He's a quarterback with momentum, with public support, with a future that's already been projected onto him like a spotlight. He didn't walk into the NFL to be a backup, and it shows. So let's talk outcomes, realistically. Let's say the Browns choose to stick with Gabriel for week 1. They play it safe. Roll him out as the starter. Try to quiet the outside noise. Now let's say he struggles. Now what? You really think fans aren't going to start chanting Shedeur's name? You really think national media isn't going to circle like hawks? You think Colin Cowherd's going to hold back? Not a chance. The pressure to make the switch will become unbearable. And if they don't make it quickly, they risk losing the locker room, the fans, and the storyline they've been too scared to embrace. That's how fast this could spiral. And all because they weren't willing to just admit that Shedeur's a better option, not just on paper, but in every intangible way that actually matters. Leadership, maturity, poise, presence. He's got it all. So let me ask you, how many more practices does Shedeur have to outshine Gabriel before they pull the trigger? How many more media figures have to say it out loud? Because if Colin Cowherd and Stephen A. Smith are aligned on anything, that should scare someone in that front office. That's like fire and ice agreeing that the house is on fire. And right now, Cleveland's quarterback room is burning. The Browns are officially on the clock. And if they don't get this decision right, fast, they're not just benching a quarterback. They're benching a movement, a brand, a future face of the league. But Shedeur, he'll be just fine. Because whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere else, his moment is coming. And when it does, it's going to be loud. And here's the thing that really needs to be said. Because nobody in that Cleveland Browns facility will say out loud. They know Shedeur Sanders is the better quarterback. They just don't want to admit it, because admitting it means everything else they've built starts to unravel. Their culture of patience, their loyalty to Dillon Gabriel, their carefully crafted plan to roll out a QB who won't ruffle feathers, all of that collapses the second Shedeur takes a meaningful snap and shows the world what half the locker room already knows. He's that guy. The guy who reads defenses like he's been doing it since grade school. The guy who doesn't flinch in the pocket, even when the blitz is coming straight through the A-gap. The guy who commands respect without needing to beg for it. Let's go deeper into this idea, because it's not just about Gabriel being not good enough. This isn't personal. It's structural. Dillon Gabriel represents everything the NFL has historically wanted in a rookie QB. Quiet, coachable, read, compliant, understated. Not too flashy, not too loud, not too anything. He's easy to control, easy to bench if needed. He won't cause waves, won't steal headlines, won't make post-game interviews awkward. But you know what else he won't do? He won't win you a shootout on Sunday night. He won't grab a franchise by the throat and drag it to relevance. He won't sell jerseys, fill stadiums, trend on social media, and inspire belief in the way Shedeur already does, without even being named the starter. And that's what this debate keeps circling around without anyone saying it directly. This isn't conversation about who throws a better slant route. It's a conversation about who can carry the weight of a franchise on the field, off the field, and through the chaos. Because being a starting NFL quarterback is about more than football. You are the face, the spokesperson, the fire escape, the lightning rod when things go wrong, and a living embodiment of hope when things go right. And Shedeur, he walks into every room like he knows exactly how heavy that crown is, and still wants to wear it. Meanwhile, Gabriel is out here giving awkward interviews and throwing shade at the guy who's already outplayed him in practice. Not exactly a leadership clinic. But that's what's wild about this whole conversation. It's playing out in real time in front of everyone. And the Browns still want to act like this is too close to call. Too close? Shedeur outperformed Gabriel in every measurable way. He's been more poised, more accurate, more consistent, and infinitely more self-aware. And yet the organization is still dragging its feet, still framing this as a healthy competition, still acting like Shedeur's momentum is something they can contain, like it's just a temporary media flare-up and not the actual start of something massive. Newsflash, you can't contain a movement. You can't coach around charisma. You can't bury a breakout star just because your timeline doesn't match his talent level. And you definitely can't put a cap on potential this loud, this obvious, and this overdue, because once the world sees it, there's no one seeing it. This is the exact kind of mistake franchises pay for years down the road. It's how you end up watching your former quarterback win somewhere else while you're stuck rotating through practice squad backups and hoping no one notices the empty seats in the stadium. And don't think for a second that Shedeur hasn't noticed this either. He's been silent, yes, but that silence is calculated. Shedeur is watching, he's listening, and he's taking notes. You think he doesn't hear the excuses? The "he needs more time" comments? The whispers that his media presence is a distraction? He hears all of it, and you better believe it's fuel. Because Shedeur's not just trying to make the league, he's trying to own it. And here's where it gets real. If the Browns don't recognize it soon, they're not just going to lose him. They're going to get replaced by him in the narrative. Right now, the Browns are the ones with control. They decide who plays, who sits, who gets the mic, who gets the start. But in a few months, if this continues, they'll no longer be the headline. Shedeur Sanders will be. The story will shift. From "why isn't he starting" to "why did the Browns let this happen?" The moment he steps onto the field in a different jersey, one that actually believes in him, Cleveland becomes a cautionary tale. Again. And for a franchise that spent the last 20 years trying not to be a meme, that's a painful place to land. Let's be honest here. The Browns have a long history of drafting quarterbacks and fumbling the development process. Brady Quinn, Brandon Whedon, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield. How many times are we going to pretend like they know what they're doing? Because based on history, their reluctance to start Shedeur doesn't come across as caution. It comes across as fear of being proven wrong, fear of admitting they misjudged the situation, fear that the kid they underdrafted is actually the future they weren't prepared to handle. And while they wrestle with their pride, guess who's getting stronger? Shedeur. Every week, every practice, every headline that debates his readiness, it's sharpening him. He's not just learning the playbook. He's learning how to handle being the center of a storm. And if you think he's going to come out of that storm the same guy who sat behind Gabriel, you're mistaken. He's going to come out smarter, hungrier, sharper, and even more ready to take what should have been his in the first place. So here's the final warning shot to Cleveland. You can only delay greatness for so long. You can play the politics. You can stall behind the scenes. You can pretend this is a process. But the clock is ticking, and Shedeur isn't waiting, because stars don't beg. Stars don't plead. Stars rise. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is already in orbit. Let me know what you think. Is the Browns front office scared of success or just stuck in the past? And if Shedeur goes elsewhere, where should he land? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe for more unfiltered takes on the stories the league tries to bury. Because we don't just talk football, we talk truth. And in this league, that's the only stat that matters.